All righty. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our Latinx, Latina, Latino welcome. We're very excited to have you all here. My name is Jessica. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm the HEAL project coordinator at the USU. We're super excited to really continue to have these cultural welcomes. We had one yesterday, and we're having some throughout the rest of the weekend next week. We really hope that we can continue to have these and really build community. I know that we're virtual now, but we hope that one day soon in the future we'll be able to connect and build this amazing community in person. So before we get started, I do want to do a Latin acknowledgement. So the University Student Union recognizes and acknowledges the Sesavitam, the first people of this ancestral and unceded territory of Sasavenga that is now occupied by our institution, and it honors their elders past and present, and the Sesavitam descendants who are citizens of the Fernandino Tatavian Band of Mission Indians. We recognize that the Sesavitam are still here, and we are committed to uplifting their stories, culture, and community. And I'll go ahead and pass it over to Xiomara and Sam, who will introduce themselves and who will also be co-hosting this program.
Hello, my name is Xiomara Carranza. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and ella. I currently work as the program supervisor for the University Student Union, and I'm really excited to be here with y'all. And I'll hand it over to Sam.
Hi everyone, my name is Sam Lomeli. I use she and they pronouns. I'm one of the co-hosts for today's event, and I'm also one of the panelists for today's event. And thank you all for joining us today. It's my pleasure to welcome one of our speakers for this afternoon, Dr. Melanie Bocanegra, our Associate Vice President for Student Success. Dr. Bocanegra joined our campus almost a year ago in her role to develop, implement, and support innovative practices, policies, and programming that promote student achievement, eliminate opportunity gaps, and encourage timely degree completion. Please help me welcome Dr. Melanie Bocanegra.
Hey, hello everyone. I miss all that energy that I would normally get if we were here in person, but I have to say it's so nice to see all of you in your squares or all of your pictures in your squares. So keep those pictures coming because it really gives us joy and inspiration, and it makes us feel like we're closer to all of you. So I just want to take a few minutes to say some welcoming words to you all and get the event kicked off. So as they mentioned, my name is Dr. Melanie Bocanegra. I'm in the Office of Student Success. And I'm so excited to be able to welcome you all back this spring and take a moment, right, to celebrate the resilience and determination that it takes to come back and start it all over again and go back to the grind and all the virtual learning that we're getting to know and getting more familiar with. So we really welcome you back, and we're happy that you're here. This break has been really difficult between the pandemic and the racial justice movements. We've just been challenged and as a community to act with urgency to address the disparities that we're seeing. And I'm so proud to let you know that your CSUN Familia is up for that challenge. The wonderful folks here tonight and many more behind the scenes have been inspired by your bravery and your willingness to engage with us in so many new ways. We are committed to creating a really inclusive experience for all of you, our amazing students. And just reflecting on this moment in time, I know so many of us are first in our families to come to college. So not only are you stepping into this space without, family members and people you trust who can show you the ropes, you're doing it at a time when you can't even wander around campus and ask random people for help, which was coincidentally my go-to strategy in college. And so it's a tough time. We're really working to provide all the resources that we can online, but we know it's difficult. And so just by making the effort to log in today and to be here in this space with us, I think you're taking a crucial step in finding that community of support. And community is so important. As someone who had to make the fully virtual transition to CSUN this year, I have just been so impressed with the warmth that students and staff have shown me. And I'm so glad to be here to pass that warmth on to you and extend that welcome to you. Your voices and your stories are just so critical right now. We need to hear them. We need to really acknowledge the work that it takes to thrive in this virtual environment. And we want to make change, and we want to make change that will impact your success. Just a little bit of background about me. I grew up here in the Valley. I'm from Pacoima and Silmar, so woo-woo, rep it in the chat. CSUN was one of the first universities I ever remember seeing up close and being accessible to my parents. And that was a really big deal for me. And so being able to come back and work here on behalf of you is just such a privilege. So I want to work hard to earn your trust and honor your stories and partner with my wonderful colleagues across campus to build programs and support systems that position you all for success. At CSUN, we've been talking about what is our vision for student success. And the best working definition that we have is that all students, regardless of background, have an equitable opportunity to thrive as learners and complete your degrees. And we want to be committed to every student by providing the environment and resources needed to overcome any obstacle and reach your full potential. And so this commitment has never been more important as we ensure that all of you, the future leaders of our community, continue to grow into these wonderful, amazing professionals. So I know learning remotely has been tough. Balancing multiple learning platforms and feeling disconnected from your fellow students, and just in general, the stress and uncertainty for the future, it's quite the time. It's unlike any other time that we've ever experienced. So tonight, you're going to hear from students, alumni, faculty, and staff about all their experiences, the resources that are available to help you, and the tools that we're all using to get through these tough times. I hope you come away today from the panel knowing that you are not alone, and we are all in this with you. As a mom of two little ones, and I know some of you have had the pleasure of meeting them during Zoom tantrums, one lesson that I'm learning right now is the importance of finding ways to calm my mind and get my body moving whenever I can. And so the kiddos and I like to do Coco, Moana, and Beyonce dance parties, so that we can dance some single ladies out at the end of the long day. And so like you, I'm sure you're super excited that our program tonight has some space to dance it out and get it going. I encourage all of you to take advantage of that time. You need time to just let go and have fun. It's almost just as important as getting your work done, if not more, I think. So, finding that balance and really understanding how to thrive in this environment, I think that's the goal of tonight's program. And I think the model that the committee has developed to sort of walk you through what that looks like is wonderful. And I think you should continue to go back to that as the semester goes on. So I just want to thank the planning committee for inviting me to speak to all of you this evening. It's such an honor to be here and to be virtually close to all of you and your squares. And I look forward to seeing you on campus very soon and to, get your energy. And yeah, we're here to support you. So welcome everyone, and thanks again, and happy spring.
Give it up for Dr. Bocanegra. Thank you so much for those beautiful words. We are building community, and that's why we are all here, is to build that community. And she is right. Your CSUN familia is ready to do all the work and put in the work that we need to do. Thank you so much, Dr. Bocanegra. Up next, we have a very special treat. Please help me welcome Guadalupe Sanchez, president of CSUN Salsa Libre. Salsa Libre is California State University's Northridge exclusive salsa-based team. Since its formation in 2007, Salsa Libre has given birth to prosperous generations of dancers who have and continue to gain a reputable status in the dance community through hard work, commitment, and passion. When competing or performing in events such as the Collegiate Salsa Open and the College Salsa Congress, Salsa Libre has always remained in the top 3. Let's welcome Guadalupe and the Salsa Libre team.
Hi, hello. It's an honor to be here, be able to represent. Um, we would love to invite you all to, if you guys want to, if you guys are able to, please participate. We will be teaching some basics. We will actually be teaching some bachata basics today. And we will also share a bit of history about where bachata comes from and where it originates from. We will also give some information about our club. We are accepting new members in a virtual setting. So we welcome you all, and I thank you all for inviting me.
Guadalupe, your team was going to do
We're gonna be doing teaching y'all some basics and teaching you some history. Would you guys like us to start or? Okay,
yes, please.
Let me pull up my PowerPoint then. Okay. So we are Salsa Libre, and we are established in 2007. Okay. So some history of bachata. Bachata rose around the 20th century in the Dominican Republic and the Caribbean. Its roots are in some African rhythms, Cuban son, and bolero.
Casarme contigo lo que quiero, muñeca.
that second part was actually bachata. So we do perform bachata and salsa most of the time. So I will be teaching you some basic steps of bachata. So I welcome you to join me and others. Let me just. Share my sound only. And I will welcome you guys to get up and dance with us. So make some space. And like I mentioned before, we are gonna be holding practices and all that. So if you guys are interested in joining, I will be leaving my email in the chat box. Let's see. Okay. So, okay, we're gonna put our feet together. And with our left side, so our left foot, we're gonna step to the left, and it's an 8 count basic. So we're gonna step 1, 2, 3, tap on 4, and now we're gonna go to the right. So we're gonna go 5, 6, 7, tap on 8, and that's what we're gonna keep doing. So we're gonna go to the left again. So 1, 2, 3, tap, 4, 5, 6, 7, tap. And I'm gonna do it for the front. So then we're gonna go to our left. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, tap, 6, 7, 8. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let me see. Maybe some light. Okay, no. So now we're gonna go again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So our hands are usually above our hips and they just kind of stay there. Our hips, there's more movement, but it's usually later on when you pass the basics. So I'm gonna teach you guys another basic, which is a 4-step basic. So we're gonna go open left, 1, we're gonna come together 2, we're gonna step 3, and then we're gonna open 4. So then it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And so what we do is we combine basics and we combine turns, and that's usually how we make a choreography. So we're gonna go basic, which is our 8 count. So it's left, 1, 2, 3, 4, right, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me show you some turns. So what you guys could imagine is a line where you're stepping at. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna prep first to your opposite side. So if we're turning left, you're gonna prep right. So your body is kind of gonna face right. And you're gonna open a little bit on the left foot and you're gonna turn. So your left foot is gonna go on that line. And then you're gonna put them together. And then you're gonna step again, come together.
Question.
Yes.
The line is in the front, so your foot goes.
So the line is where you're standing. So you're gonna go towards the left. So you prep, you step this way. So this is your line. So you're gonna go left, and then you're gonna come together, and then you're gonna open again, and then you're gonna come together. And that is how you turn. So you prep to whichever opposite side, whichever way you're gonna go. So we're going, in this case, left, and we're gonna close, and we're gonna open right, and then we're gonna close again. And that usually does go faster once you are turning. So let me try a little bit faster. So then I open. It's usually after a basic, so we do start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and on 8 you do prep. 8, and then you turn 1, 2, 3, 4. And so, any questions before do we want to start on music? How are we feeling?
Okay, one question.
Yes.
On the turn, because you count 4, but I'm counting 5, and I don't know if it's because I don't know.
It technically is 5 because you're doing 8 is when you prep.
Okay. Oh, okay. Got it.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I see more chat. Okay. Only count 1, 2. I think the turn's the only thing. Just want to keep turning. We could do a left turn too. How's everyone? 2 turns?
I'm not the left turn. Was that the right turn?
Oh wait, that was the left turn. We could do a right turn. So left and right. I can feel. Okay, let's try one more time the basic then. So like I said, it's just left and right. It's like you're walking, but you're not gonna lift your feet as much. So you're gonna go to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. In small steps. So 5, 6, 7, 8. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And a lot of people think that a tapping does help. So a lot of people do 1, 2, 3, tap, 5, 6, 7, tap. So like I said, 1, 2, 3, tap, 5, 6, 7, tap. And now we're gonna do the turn again. So the left turn. So we prep on 8 and you turn 1 on left, come together, again with your foot, and then come together. So now let's just try it with some music and see how we're gonna do. Let me see. And of course, some artists you guys may recognize, Romeo Santos, who else? There's some famous Anthony Santos. Of course, Prince Royce. Let's see.
I didn't realize how many mistakes
Of course.
making in English.
See, I see 4 chats. Yes, music will help a lot more. It'll kind of catch you onto the beat that we're trying to get, so the 8 counts. But first, of course, I wanted you guys to listen. I wanted you guys to know the basics. That way we could incorporate it with the music.
Y yo estoy estancado en esos tiempos, cuando tú me amabas y con gran fulgor sentía tus besos. Dime,
Can you guys hear that?
esta duda, ¿quién es esta extraña que se ha apoderado de tu ser? ¿Dónde está la amante loca que me erizaba la piel? Porque ya tú no me tocas como lo hacía esa mujer. Algo no anda bien. Escucha las palabras. Esta noche la impostora usurpa.
Let's try another one. But this is more of a sensual / more modern take on bachata. There is traditional bachata that has more of a guitar sound and more like drums and all that. Let's see.
Girl, just let your hair down. Let's paint the whole town. Life is our playground, yeah. But I'm not a kid no more, so I must open doors and make you feel like the lady you are. My mama raised me to be classy, not flashy. I'm happy to please you, though I can tell that's not what you're used to. And they say chivalry is dead, dead. But let a real man pick up the slack and treat you with respect. Yeah. And you don't have to love me, love me, love me. You don't have to love me, love me, love me. Just 'cause I'm a gentleman don't mean I ain't taking you to bed.
So we're gonna do our 8, and on our 8, we're gonna
Baby, let me buy your meals. I see you head over heels. I feel like you deserve it. There's no pressure. We can do whatever makes you comfortable.
and then usually after your turn, sorry, just forget. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Girl, just take my hand
7.
and let me be a man. Though
So
that's
put
not
all that
what
together.
you do. And they say chivalry is dead, dead, dead. But let the real man pick up the slack and treat you with respect. Yeah. And you don't have to love me, love me, love me. You don't have to love me, love me, love me. Don't mean
So
I
hope
ain't
everyone
taking you
feels about that.
there. That's just how you treat a lady.
How was that? Okay, let's see. And then I'm just gonna let you guys listen
The
to a
first
more
day class
traditional
filled with possibilities
type of
and unknowns.
bachata.
That's why check.
Let's see. No, that's not. Thank you. I appreciate you guys being able to dance with me. And learn a little bit more about some Latin dances. Cumbia's next. Definitely something we could teach. Yes, definitely fun. I will share our contact info and my personal email as well. You guys can contact us. We will be having future practices as well. So I thank you all for inviting me and doing this activity with me as well. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Guadalupe. And on behalf of, Salsa Libre, thank you all for, for really engaging us in that. I know I caught myself, I turned off my camera because I also have two left feet, but once you put the music, I was like, okay, like, I think I know what I'm doing. So thank you for that. And honestly, for really reminding us to take a break, to move our bodies whenever we can, because I think it's so important, right? We spend a lot of our times sitting in a screen for hours. And so even just being able to get up, I feel like my energy just kind of uplifted. So really thank you for that.
Thank you again, Guadalupe. Up next, we have a panel of faculty, staff, administrators, and students who will share their thoughts and ideas. We encourage everyone to participate by using the raise hand feature to ask a question or add your question in the chat. If you'd like to remain anonymous, please feel free to send a private message with your question to either Jessica or myself. Our moderators for today's panel are Dr. Marta Escobar and Dr. Freddy Sanchez. Dr. Marta Escobar is an associate professor in the Department of Chicana and Chicano Studies. Her teaching and research interests are in gender and transnational immigration, citizenship and nation building, incarceration, racialized and gendered state violence, and feminist critical race theory. She also serves as a director of Project Rebound, which supports the higher education and successful reintegration of the formerly incarcerated through the mentorship and living example of other formerly incarcerated students, graduates, faculty, and staff. Dr. Freddy Sanchez serves as the Associate Director for Programs and Inclusion at the University Student Union. He provides leadership to the Pride Center, Veterans Resource Center, Dream Center, Diversity and Inclusion, and the USU Programs team. Dr. Escobar and Dr. Sanchez, welcome and thank you for facilitating today's panel. Let's give it up.
Thank you so much, Xiomara. And
Thanks,
thank
Sio.
you everyone for organizing.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you, Sio. So our first panelist is Melanie Alvarez. She currently serves as the University Student Union Board of Directors Chair. She is a senior studying political science with a minor in community and civic engagement. Welcome, Melanie.
Hey everyone, it's so good to see everyone. And again, thank you to Guadalupe for that very interactive bachata class. I have two left feet, but that never stops me from dancing. So thank you all for that.
Our next panelist is Sam Lomeli, is a fourth-year undergraduate student, double majoring in art with the concentration in graphic design and Central American and Transborder Studies. She's also the Student Diversity Initiatives Assistant in the Diversity and Inclusion Department at the USU.
Perfect. Our next panelist is Diana Vicente, who is a graduate student in our Masters of Business Administration program. Diana has been involved with student government for many years, and has served as the past president for associated students here at CSUN. She now serves as a chair of the California State Student Association for the CSU. She represents 500,000 students statewide in local and federal advocacy. Great job, Diana. And thank you for joining us.
Pleasure to be here, everyone.
Our next speaker is faculty in communication studies, Monica Gallegos. She studies how interpersonal relationships impact health in underrepresented, underserved, understudied, and at-risk populations, including Latinos, pregnant women seeking treatment for opioid addiction, as well as incarcerated women, their children, and the guardians of their children. Thank you so much, Dr. Gallegos, for being here with us.
Next up is Sharazad Encinias. She currently serves, she recently joined our Central American Studies Department as a part-time faculty. As a San Diego native, she joined the department from the Sonora Desert, where she spent the past few years teaching and reporting. Her passion in truth and justice have allowed her to report and explore all over Southern California, the US and Mexico regions, Delaware, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Guatemala. Welcome.
Thank you.
Next, we have Stephanie Lemus, a faculty member in Central American Studies, Central American Transborder Studies now. She's also currently a doctoral student at the University of Southern California in the Rossier School of Education. She has worked with various nonprofit organizations and groups for the last 10 years in community organizing, education, workforce, and advocacy. She has been teaching in the Central American and Transborder Studies Department since August 2016, and is currently the director of the Central American Research Policy Institute, CARPI. Welcome.
Next up is Marcos Pineda, who serves as our CSUN's activities coordinator for fraternity and sorority life. His role is to advise our cultural and affinity-based fraternities and sororities. His preferred pronouns are he, him, his, or él. Marcos is a product of the CSU. He received his bachelor's from California State University, San Bernardino, in the spring of 2013, and then received his master's in higher education from the University of Redlands in spring 2016. Marco is a first-generation Mexican-American and is the first in his family to receive both a bachelor's and a master's degree. Marcos always makes a point to educate family and community members to learn about college as an option for social mobility and opportunities. Thank you, Marcos, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And our last community member joining us is Dr. Shelly Ruelas Bishop. Dr. Ruelas Bishop serves as the Associate Vice President for Campus Life at CSUN.
Black pepper, carrots.
Sorry. Sorry about that. She holds administrative oversight for the Office of Student Development, the International and Exchange Student Center, Student Housing and Residential Life, Associated Students in the University Student Union. Dr. Ruelas Bishop has been dedicated to issues of access and equity for students throughout her career, with a strong focus on initiatives aimed at improving the educational, personal, and social outcomes of traditionally underserved and diverse student populations. Dr. Ruelas Bishop is a licensed psychologist and earned her doctorate degree in counseling, clinical and school psychology from the University of California, Santa Barbara. So with that, thank you all our panelists for making time and being here. You're so appreciated.
Yes, we really do appreciate you spending some time with us. This is going to be a conversation between our panelists and all of you. What we are hoping, we're going to start off our conversation today with an initial question. Any of the panelists can answer. You all don't have to go if the question isn't necessarily appropriate for you to answer. And we're going to open it up for the rest of you all. If you have a question, add it in the chat, raise your hand. We're ready for a conversation. So with that, can you explain a little bit about your background and how you ended up where you are now, academically and or professionally?
And Freddie, do we want to go down the list in the same order that we mentioned, folks?
We can. Let's do that. All right. So here we go. So Melanie.
I think I'm still not a professional yet. I'm gonna graduate this May, but I think in terms of my academic career, it definitely started with the USU. I've grown with the USU. I joined them initially my sophomore year, and I've been with them ever since. And it's just been really great to grow with the USU. I started just as a volunteer for a committee. I chaired the committee the next year, and now I'm the chair for the board. And honestly, I just love the USU. I'm fortunate to have grown with them, and I think that's how I ended here today.
Sam, we know you're also a student, but can you share your thoughts on the same topic? What are your plans, your goals?
Yeah, so I want to say I got involved my freshman year when at CSUN. I just joined a lot of clubs on campus that were rooted in identity, and it helped me discover a lot about myself. And from there, I never like saw myself like entering any type of leadership position because I was always like really reserved. But I don't know, I just like applied, like I saw this application for Latinas Rising, which is an affinity group in student housing. And so I applied to be part of the executive board, and I was able to become to join and be part of the board for about 2 years. And that just being in that alone, it like really helped with my personal development, and just like it really got me involved in my community, and I feel like that's where it really began. But I have joined like multiple different student clubs and orgs on campus. And then so yeah, I was in housing, I would say. I then got a job in housing as a community and learning center assistant. And then so a lot of the work I had done, or like volunteer work I had done, was in student housing. And it wasn't until recently in November that I started working for the USU as a student diversity initiatives assistant. And and I'm really like happy and fortunate to be part of the team now, because I remember as well, like I want to say either my freshman or my sophomore year, I had applied for the same position that I'm in right now. But I had like really a busy schedule, so there was just conflict, and I didn't even, get that far in the application process. But I've reapplied in last semester, and I'm really happy to be part of the team now. And in terms of like academic goals, I would like to go to graduate school. And the program, I'm still learning about myself, and like what exactly my research interest would be. I'm saying I would definitely be leaning towards an interdisciplinary field, like something like ethnic studies. Probably I'm looking into the Chicano and Central American Studies department at UCLA. So, I just have to do more research, and we'll see where I end up. But yeah, it's just a little bit about myself.
Thank you, Sam, for sharing that. We're glad that you were able to join the team this time around. Diana.
Hi, everyone. Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here. I recently graduated from CSUN with a marketing and management bachelor's, and now I'm a graduate student for the MBA program. And through my 4 years at CSUN, I mean, I look at this room and I can say that I was just honored to work with administrators such as Dr. Bishop and Dr. Watkins. I saw Deborah Hammond is here as well. Just amazing mentors throughout my 4 years that got me to where I am today. And I got involved in Associate Students my freshman year. I also felt, at the beginning, like, where is my place in college, and how can I really find myself? And it was through the help of those administrators, as well as the people that I met throughout my journey, that really pushed me to find my full potential and to go beyond my expectations of myself and raise them, which was really important for me. And I had the honor of serving as Associate Students President my senior year, which was an incredible, life-changing experience. And now I shoot my shot, and I ran for chair of CSSA, and I was honored to be elected, which is incredible because now I get to work with Chancellor, now Chancellor Castro, then Chancellor White, and just really, really big administrators. And honestly, I now remember everything that I learned at the beginning, everything that I learned at CSUN, and all of the help that I got from my Latinx community. And now it's applying that at that level and saying, give us a seat at the table, have our students' voices heard, and bringing that representation to a new level, which has been incredible. And I'm just lucky. So thank you.
Diana, thank you so much for sharing and for all that work. I know it's a lot, but it's such an amazing experience. Dr. Gallegos, can you share a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, thank you all so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. A little bit about my background. I am a first generation college student. I was raised by a single mother who worked 3 jobs to make ends meet. So I, watched her struggle a lot. And, she and my grandparents always emphasized the importance of going to college to, to have a better life. And as a first generation college student, though, I really struggled with navigating college and made a lot of mistakes, didn't know who to go to for what. And it was very stressful. And so, I really ended up where I am today because of not only my family, but some great mentors that I met later on in my college career, and especially in graduate school. And, I really wanted to become a professor because I want to help students succeed and earn their degrees so they have opportunities like I've had, just to have good jobs, but also to be, informed, involved citizens and to improve their communities. And because I do enjoy doing research that can help improve health and reduce health disparities in underserved communities. So that's sort of me in a nutshell. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Perfect, Dr. Gallegos. Thank you for sharing that, including being a first generation in your family to really pursue this whole experience and now teaching others the possibilities. All right, so now let's, I'm gonna butcher this again. Shahrazad, can you pronounce your name?
Hi. Yes, you're very close. It's Scheherazade. Yes.
Same question.
Yeah, thank you for the invite. I'm loving this. The bachata lesson was super cute. I still struggle, but eventually I'll learn. All right, so how did I end up here? I went to community college for a couple of years, just kind of bouncing around, not really sure of what I wanted to do. And I've always been very active in the community. My mom worked for the migrant education program in San Diego and Encinitas. So I grew up, around that environment, right? And being so close to the border, it was just, yeah, so I was always involved in different clubs, different organizations, and I've always liked writing. And I decided to take a journalism 100 class, and the student newspaper came to recruit, and it was just like I found what I'm going to do. And ended up becoming really involved with the newspaper. And when I decided to transfer, I was looking at different schools, and CSUN actually became the only school I applied to. And I was like, this is the only school I want to go to. They have a good journalism program. And on top of that, they have this department I've never even heard of, right? The Central American Studies, the Department of Central American Studies. And I went in originally as a journalism major, and after taking a couple classes in the department, I decided to change to Central American Studies. And I minored in Spanish language journalism after and as a student, I became really involved with CAUSA, the Central American United Student Association. Actually, that's where I met my really close academic family, right? And now colleagues like Stephanie Lemos. I know she's on here as well. So yeah, so I got really involved with that, and I kept on writing. So after I graduated, I worked as a reporter in Costa Rica, and then decided to go to graduate school and ended up in Arizona at the University of Arizona for a couple of years, and stayed for way too long. I mean, I was always trying to come back to California, but I ended up staying there a little bit longer than expected. And this is my second year at CSUN, and I love it. It's full circle, from student to professor, and I couldn't be any happier. I see a lot of myself in a lot of the students, and for me that it's empowering and it's so exciting. So yeah, so just long story short, right? Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you make such an important point, which is the ability for our students to identify with us and for us to identify with the students. It matters. Pedagogically, it matters, right? It has an impact. So that's a really important point. Our next person, Stephanie Lemus, if you can share just a little bit about your background, how you got here.
Yeah, thank you again for having me in this wonderful event. And so now when I think about what motivated me to pursue my field, not only as an educator but as a community leader, definitely in my time as a first generation college student and at an undergraduate at CSUN was definitely life changing. Especially my time in the Central American Studies department. I double majored in anthropology, Central American Studies with a minor in Pan African Studies, and in that department, I was able to make stronger connections and understanding my identity as a Central American woman from an immigrant background. And so to talk a little bit about the department, the mission of the department is to empower the large and the growing Central American community here in the U.S. And so coupled with my personal experiences, my formative years in this department, the Central American Studies department, really informed not only how I would work in the community, but also in higher education. So, my work is not only local, it's transnational. And during my time in the Central American Studies department, it was inculcated to us as students, the importance of giving back to our communities, the importance of social justice, the importance of diversity and equity. And so from organizing fundraisers in support of Central America, different Central American groups, to immersing ourselves in the community, the Central American communities that exist for many, many years here in LA, outreach and education, the profound commitment by this community was very life changing. The work in the department, and so to organize, to educate, to empower, to change and uplift. My experience at CSUN was definitely formative.
Thank you, Stephanie. That got the chills. I think one of the most powerful things that we hear from our students, it's the connection to our environment and how powerful that is. And hearing you leave, come back, and really make this your home has been a blessing, I guess, for our students and really experiencing that with you. So thank you, Stephanie. Marcos.
Buenas tardes, everyone. So my name is Marcos Pineda. In the bio intro, Freddie talked about like how I was first generation. So for me personally, being a first gen student and not really having anyone to help you in navigating higher education was really difficult for me. It kind of like had gotten to the point where like dropping out was a very like frequent thought that came through my mind. And I remember when I was an undergrad at Cal State San Bernardino, I had knew these guys that I was like had gotten pretty close with, and we talked about establishing a Latino-based fraternity on campus. And so we did that. And once we became members, we started connecting with different staff members who identified as Latino at Cal State San Bernardino. And we were being connected with the student union. We were getting connected with the dean of the library. We were getting connected with different folks at the institution. And whenever we had problems as students, we actually had pretty easy access to folks on campus that were really able to help us out in navigating what major we wanted to be in getting help with financial aid and getting help with finding a job. So for me personally, when I was an undergrad, it really gave me a sense of community with my peers and with different like faculty and staff members, because resources just started coming out of nowhere, and faculty and staff specifically that identified as Latino were like wanting to reach out with like students, any student group really. So when I graduated from Cal State San Bernardino, I really didn't have an idea of what I exactly wanted to do. But there was this person that I was dating at the time who had told me that they were going to go for a master's in higher education. And I was like, what is that? And they were telling me that they wanted to be a fraternity and sorority life advisor. And I was like, wait, that's like an actual thing. So I decided to go in the same direction. We applied to the same school. We were in the same cohort. And my entire research was focused on like students of color who are first generation, who join fraternities and sororities, and how it really helps to navigate their experiences in higher education. So now I'm here at CSUN putting my research to practice, and it's amazing. I love everything that I do, working with my students of color, and our culturally based fraternities and sororities, and our affinity-based fraternities and sororities has been a pleasure. It's been such an awesome experience, because I know how it's like to be first generation, or even if you're not first generation, but like the first person in your family, to be here and to find out about like different resources that are so easily available to you, but you just might not know where they're at or how to access them. And any of us here, are more than any of us that are faculty and staff and administrators are here to connect you and to support you and to guide you, and to do every single bit of that. So I decided that I wanted to go into fraternity and sorority life specifically to assist our culturally based fraternities and sororities. And yeah, it's just been such a blessing, to be here at CSUN. I think all of the students here have amazing faculty members. My own personal experience was a different story, for another time. But I just think like you have such great support from the faculty, from the academic side, from the student affairs side, and CSUN is such a great institution to be at. I'm so excited for all of you. And when we're back on campus, meet me in the Matador Involvement Center so that I can connect you and get you engaged.
Thank you, Marcos. I think two things that are really important that, I mean, everything's important, but one, relationship building is so important, right? In terms of opening up opportunities, and the best way is getting involved. So that's really, if you're a student at CSUN, we really, really encourage you to get involved in some way, shape, or form, because that's the way that you're going to be able to connect with folks, to, I always tell my students the first day of class, you want a letter of reg, come to my office hours. I don't know you, I can't write a good one. So getting involved is so important. And then two, the fact that, for first generation folks, right? We have so many struggles that we go through. And part of our responsibility is then people supported us and we support others, pay it forward, right? So always keeping that in mind whenever you quote unquote make it. There's still so much work to do for our community. So thank you, Marcos, for taking that on. Our last panelist is Dr. Shelly Ruelas Bishop. If you can share a little bit of your background and how it is that you got here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation to be here. It really is a wonderful space to be in, just the energy and the salsa and everything that we have, this community here. And I think, as I reflected on that question, it's because of communities like this that I'm here, in one way or another. And I think Dr. Escobar, you just kind of summed that up as well. And I can tell you, if it weren't for EOP and TRIO programs like Summer Bridge and McNair, both of which I was a part of, I would definitely not be here today, much less with the doctor title right in front of my name. And so I really have to recognize that I stand, on the shoulders of so many others, in order to have the privilege to do this work. And it was because along the way, I heard from a lot of mentors and others in my community who really helped me kind of overcome the challenges that were there. Some of which I probably put in my own way, but others of which were just part of the structural inequalities that we have in this world. And I too am a first generation student. I was raised by a single mom in Fresno, California, the Central Valley, the real valley, as I always like to say. But I think back about the mentors, the Summer Bridge peer counselors, the fact that through the NAIR program, I was able to sit in seminars and get the language of the academy in order to know what a personal statement was, and also get research experiences in order to know that that was actually something important to get as an undergraduate student, which I really didn't know. And so, so I'm grateful, so grateful to those experiences because they definitely weren't just a part of my journey here, but are why I'm here.
That was beautifully said. Why you're here. I think ultimately the sheer number of people that get us here is something to extremely be proud of. And now I think one of you, and you even said it, we're paving the way for the future. So continue to grow together as a community. Are there any questions out there that anyone wants to ask? Open up your mic if you do. If not, we have plenty.
I have one.
Go for it.
It's how do you stay motivated, inspired, especially right now as we're like navigating, for some of us working from home, for the students doing online schooling. So how do you all stay motivated / inspired?
And we won't call your names this time. Whoever wants to answer, feel free to do so.
Could I say something?
Go for it.
Okay. So one of my biggest motivations are my students. I know it sounds cheesy, but you know, last year when the pandemic hit and it just went, okay, spring break, now we're all virtual, that was tough, you know? And I know it wasn't just tough on my students. It was tough for everybody, you know? So this year has been a little bit different, you know, and last, at the end of the semester, I was checking in with my students and a lot of them were just saying, I'm done, you know, I can't, I'm having trouble being motivated. But coming into your class and being able to talk for a little bit, you know, about whatever is going on, that was the way of motivation, you know, for them and for me, just, you know, even though I was struggling at times, because I know we've all been there, right? Where you're just like, oh man, I'm at home again, okay, and it's the same thing, you know, but coming in and putting on this this space for the students, you know, this it just being there for them. I don't know. I think for me that's what keeps me motivated, you know, and the fact that I'm able to provide them to resources, you know, because a lot of students, you know, aren't really aware of what's available to them, not just at CSUN, but around them, like what the community can provide to them, what the city can provide to them. You know, I had a student, him and his family were evicted, you know, and he didn't know that, you know, there was a moratorium. So now what, you know, and he's messaging me that he can't come to class, that he can't attend class because of what's going on. And it's, you know, letting them know that, well, these are the resources and this is how CSUN can help, you know. So I don't know, for me, that's what keeps me motivated as far as being here.
Thank you for that. You know, it's, yeah, it's a reminder of what the conditions that our students and we all are facing right now and how we show up for each other, right? And sometimes it's just checking in with the students and say, hey, how are you doing? And being open to, I may not know the resources available, but I will work with you to find those resources. And I think having faculty, staff, folks on campus that are committed in that way is so important. And one of the things I think that distinguishes CSUN, right? I've been in other institutions and it doesn't look the same. Yeah, so thank you so much for that. Other folks, if you want to raise your little blue hand or just put it in the chat. Any other questions? Freddie has tons, so.
Let me, if Melanie, Marco, and then Diana can go. I see your little hands.
I think Diana or Marco might have had their hand first, so they can go ahead.
Go for it, Marco. You were the first one, and then Diana, and then Melanie, and then Stephanie.
All right, thank you. Let me put my hand down real quick. Oh, just kidding.
I got you.
All right. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure everyone here gets Zoom fatigue. I get it a lot because we're in back-to-back Zoom meetings from early in the morning to sometimes late at night. And if it's not with like students or staff members, it's with like campus partners. But what really keeps me motivated is our students, right? Um, I have never gone through a pandemic and being enrolled in school. So I can only imagine how intense it must be. So we just have to remind our students that they're chingonas and chingones and that they're here and that they are strong and that they have the support of like us, our faculty, all of our ancestors, and all of that, so we're really here for our students. We really want to see you thrive. We want to see you succeed. Um, and that's really what motivates me. I know me personally, like I'm also connected with our fraternity and sorority life advisor colleagues within the rest of the CSU system. So whenever we need to vent to each other, we do on our own group chat. So just like how you have your group chats, we also have our group chats, and we send each other memes and all of that, TikTok videos. But we at the end of the day, we're here because we care about our students here and we really want to see you thrive and succeed. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcos. Diana.
No, thank you. And I think it's great to hear the administrative side of it, because from the student side, it is a lot and it's really, really hard. I was a student when the pandemic hit and kind of going into that transition of fully online, and then applying for a master's program and starting a master's program fully online has been really interesting, because yes, Zoom fatigue, and also not being able to get ready. It's a different mindset when you like get up in the morning and get ready and go to class, grab a coffee and sit in class. You're more focused than being at home, and your TV's right there, your Netflix is in the background. It's so tempting. But I think the biggest thing that has kept me motivated this entire time has been my family. I live alone, so I haven't been able to see them as much as I want. Even like Christmas and holidays, just like I had to drive by my house, and it's like the first year ever that I didn't get to like just sit and be with my family, which for us, like that's the biggest thing, right? Like sitting with our moms, our dads, our familia on like Christmas and New Year's. That's like the thing that we look forward to. And I think not having that has been really hard. But all I keep thinking is, when and if we get to come back, and if somehow there's a virtual ceremony or maybe an in-person ceremony, it's gonna be just looking at my dad and saying like, hey, all of this was for you. And that's what wakes me up every day. That's what keeps me going every day. And just developing that routine, I think, is super important. Like getting up from bed and doing your bed and putting on makeup to be on Zoom for the entire day sounds silly, but it really just puts you in a different mindset. So I'd encourage students to try that because it's really great. And student government is so hard during a pandemic, because usually if I want to know a student's opinion on something, I go outside and I buy them coffee and I ask them what they're thinking. And now I can't do that. So definitely just, we have our plenary coming up for Cal State Student Association. It's like an 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Zoom meeting nonstop. And we do it because we have students coming in every hour doing that, and just gotta keep going with the work, because advocacy doesn't stop, which is great. And yes, Marcos, I'll send you your Starbucks card.
Mel.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo Diana's point as well. I think as a first gen, I always think that there's somebody else behind me. And for me, that's like my younger sibling and my brother and my sister. You know, I think sometimes for me, it just took for me to see one person do it ahead of me to know that it's also possible for me to do it. In high school, I remember seeing the statistics for communities like mine. You know, the statistic was only one out of 100 students actually get a doctorate degree. And you know, hearing those numbers, some people may take them negatively and let it affect them, but others may take those numbers and say, you know what, like I want to be that 1 in 100. I want to change those numbers. So I think I always just think about the statistics that are out there about our communities and, you know, how can we change that? And again, like I said, just the younger generations, there's always going to continue to be people before us that are looking at us. So again, paving the way for them is definitely my motivation.
Stephanie, your hand is did you want to respond?
Oh, yes, yes. So, again, thinking about what motivates me on a daily basis throughout this pandemic, I really have to go back to my identity and how it's marked by my family's immigrant story as Central American immigrants, because it continuously informs my work, my passion, my commitment to our communities, to our students. And so, I know that, we share experiences from being undocumented or mixed status families. And so really looking at my family's journey from El Salvador to the United States in the 70s and the 80s, escaping civil war, those values that they instilled in me, those values that our community shares of, compassion, respect, humility, and work ethic, those values and the spirit of always looking forward, never giving up. That's something I carry in the work that I do as a community leader, as an educator. And so that's what really inspires me. My community inspires me, the students inspire me, and my family's experience inspires me every day and motivates me every day to continue.
Thank you, Stephanie. Then we have Sam and then Dr. Relas Bishop.
So for me, motivation is something I've always struggled with, honestly, like my entire academic career, like from high school to now. Like motivation is just, it's like a feeling and it comes and it goes. So sometimes I really don't have the motivation to like want to even continue, but honestly, that's where like discipline shows up for me. Discipline is there when motivation is not, and it's just building those habits because like I said, like feelings are always, coming and going. They're always fleeting, they're always changing. I might not be in the mood to do this, but like I have to set that, like, what do you call it, that routine in place for me when motivation doesn't show up. But when I do like feel out of it, and what I feel like helps me a lot to get back into that mood of doing any like academic research or just continuing school, because learning is just my passion. It's really when I attend different panels like similar to this, and I just hear other people who come from either similar backgrounds as me or different, and when they give their stories, their personal stories, and they discuss what they had to overcome, and they talk about their own passions, it really motivates me and to want to continue with my passion. So it's hearing like the passion of others, I feel like is what motivates me as well when I do get those random moments of motivation.
Dr. Ruelas Bishop and then Dr. Gallegos.
I think, I couldn't agree more with what all of my colleagues and our students have shared. What I might add to that is really the work that's been done more and more recently, of course, but there was stuff being done even, back in the day, 20, 30 years ago, that speaks to the strength of our community, the resilience, what we bring, as Latinos, Latinas, Latinx individuals. That help us to succeed in this space and many other spaces. I can remember one of the first books I read that that instead of talking about the statistics about how much I was likely to fail, actually talked about what my community, what my experiences growing up, what being a Latina from a single mother and then low SES, all of those things, how that could actually help me move forward. And that was a book called Over the Ivy Walls by Patricia Gandara. And I mean, it was written a long time ago, and she's done so much more work since then. But it was the first for me of really, or at least really so powerfully stating it in a way that's never left me, that kept me motivated then, and I think keeps me motivated now, in addition to our students and my family, and again, all that has been shared. I think it's important for us to have that work and research and have that in the forefront as well in order to keep going.
Thank you. Dr. Gallegos?
Yeah, thank you. I do want to echo what everybody else said for sure. I have a lot of similar experiences. You know, my family definitely motivates me, knowing the struggles that they went through to get me to where I am today. And of course, my students and hearing everything that they are struggling with just to stay in school and, you know, doing the best that they can. And so what I was going to just add is that for me, the most important thing has been just knowing that, you know, we're all facing challenges, and similar to what Sam said, sometimes it's okay to just survive. We don't always have to be at 100% or even 75% on a daily basis. There's so much going on right now. And once I started to wrap my mind around that and started to give myself a break and not feel guilty or upset that I, you know, wasn't getting everything done on my to-do list, or that I wasn't performing at the exact level that I thought I should be, I started to, you know, just feel better day to day. And that helped me to motivate myself, because I, you know, could create more realistic goals, you know, for the situation. So I think it's really important to just recognize the moment that we're in, and to just be okay with not, you know, being the absolute best version of ourselves every day. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think for first gen folks, and if you're coming from an immigrant background, you often have like the weight of the world on your shoulders, right? And you feel you have to do it all. And thank you so much for that, Dr. Gallegos, because it's a reminder, right? We have to be kind to ourselves. We have to, you know, take care of ourselves, especially in this kind of moment, right? And you know, check in on each other when we can, and look out for each other and do those kinds of things is so important. So thank you for that reminder. The next question is, does anybody else in the out there in Zoom world have a question for the panelists? If you can raise your little blue hand or just unmute yourself. No? Okay. Then I'll ask the next question. When I read this question, I'm like, this is hard. You should have sent this out to the folks beforehand.
And you're gonna ask it. Great.
But I'm gonna ask it anyway. What do you feel is your life purpose, your calling, and where would you like to end up in your career path or academic journey? And that's so hard. That's like a workshop in itself, like figuring out your life purpose, but you have 2 seconds, go for it. Any of the panelists want to respond?
We're gonna start calling on people.
I can go first. This is the question I actually wrote, and it's funny because I didn't even give myself time to prepare for this either. So it's kind of like I'll be thinking it as I say it out loud. But like my calling, I feel like has changed a lot. You know, as I get older and as I grow, and the things I desire change as well. So you know, like what I'm saying now can definitely be changed, will be different in the future. But like for a long time, I thought I'd go into a science career, being a chemical engineer or just anything, a science researcher is what I thought I would pursue from a really young age. And It's because just math and science were always my strongest subjects, and then I had an aunt who was who was uh, who was a scientist herself, so that was a lot of inspiration for me. Because none of my parents went to college, so I had my aunt to like look up to, and she was that inspiration for me, and I just wanted to follow her footsteps for a long time. But I did have just like, I do have an interest in science and math still. It's just that's changed because when I my the major I declared when I entered CSUN was chemistry, and then in the back of my mind, like I knew I always wanted to be in a creative field and creative career, but it was really hard for me to actually pursue it academically because I had just, you know, being first generation and from a low income household, you have this pressure and you just want to be the one to like pull your family like out from like surviving to thriving. So I wanted to be able to provide them with like I just wanted a career that would give me the money to provide that economic stability for my family. So it was really, really difficult for me to even consider going into anything else that wasn't gonna automatically guarantee me a stable income. Um, but I couldn't ignore what my heart, what my calling was. Like it was just in the back of my mind the whole time. Like, do I really want to do this? So I don't know, I just went for it, and it was very scary for me, but I ended up switching my major to art, and I already had some experience in graphic design because of high school. I took 2 graphic design classes, so that helped me a lot as well. And but even then, when I joined, when I started studying art, it was even it was very difficult for me because it didn't come naturally to me like how science and math did. Like those are things I automatically understood. Like it's, you know, you solve an equation basically. With art, there is no equation to be solved. And you're given a lot of this creative freedom, and there is no like one answer. So it was very difficult for me to switch those type of mindsets that I had. But it's just something, I don't know, and it's still difficult for me to explain, but I just know that I want to envision a different future, and I just enjoy like all types of art, fine art, applied art, music, fashion, all of that. And so that's really where I envision myself in the future. And then as for like Central American studies, that was a random calling. Like that was something that wasn't exposed to until obviously I came to CSUN, and I took an elective. I took a Salvadoran experience, and just that taking that one class, it did a lot for me. Like never knowing really about my own Central American background, because just my family didn't talk about it, or you know, you ask their experiences, like they kind of don't want to talk about it, and it's probably because there's a lot of trauma there. But yeah, I took that class, and it made me very curious and wanting to know more about why my family's here and where we come from and all of that. And so after that, that's when I decided to add Central American Studies as a second major. And now I'm just trying to figure out how, like, I have so many different interests, and it's so hard for me to figure out one program to go into for graduate school. Like, why do I have to pick just one thing? Like, I want to know it all, but I know I can't. I had to specialize in something. So that's why I'm looking for something that's interdisciplinary. But my goal is to eventually find a way to merge, I guess, graphic design with social justice, I guess, social justice praxis. And because graphic design world is just very, very white and Eurocentric. And it's like, you have like, the only time you see like these social justice flyers is when it's trending, like, and it's used as a marketing tool. That's just not the direction I want to go in with graphic design. So it's something I would like to, I don't know how, but I know for a fact that I want to somehow be able to merge those two very different, they seem different and like polar opposite things, but merge them with each other and just like, how can we create impact using graphic design as a tool? So that's something I'm still trying to figure out. But yeah, there's a lot more I could say, but yeah, just leave it there.
Thanks, Sam. That's definitely a change of path, but you're still on a path to your own journey, and so keep at it. And there's apparently people are wanting you to go the math route. I don't know. That might be your next calling. Who knows? Melanie.
I'm laughing because I definitely am the opposite. I came into college and I did my best to stay away from math and science. So I'm majoring in political science with a minor in community and civic engagement. And I think, what is your purpose? What is your calling is a continuous question that you ask yourself, right? I just seen the movie Soul and it was so beautiful. And I think it relates beautiful to this question. But I think one thing that hasn't changed for me is whatever I end up doing in life, I want it to be a position where I can give back. So I've kind of alternated between being a lawyer, being a social worker, and I think now my most common one right now that I'm thinking is getting involved in student affairs, just because I feel like in college, the people in student affairs have had the most impact on me, and I'm thinking, wow, like if they were able to, kind of like make like, I don't know how to explain it, like that spark inside me, that's something that I definitely want to do for other people. So I still don't know for sure what is my purpose or what is my calling, but definitely wherever I end up, I want to give back to my community.
Mel, you have your first you have your first take at Dr. Dr. Shelly Rolas Bischoff. So first invite. Marcos.
All right. So I remember, so my parents migrated from Mexico to the United States, obviously to make sure that we have a better life. So when I was in high school, middle school, elementary, my parents were always like, "Échale ganas, like go to college. You don't want to work hard the way that we do." So that really motivated me to go to college. Um, Getting into college was a very different thing because once I was already in, I changed my major 5 times and was pretty much there forever. It felt like. And for me, I was trying to find something that I felt that was kind of like true to myself, but was also going to make me money because I didn't want to be poor and struggle. So so trying to find a degree that will lead up to that can be pretty difficult sometimes. And I later found out that just because you have a college degree doesn't necessarily equal that you will be rich and make all kinds of money. Um, but what I did find in being in college was that it really allowed me to explore like different things that I was curious about. It helped me learn about like who I really am and about like history, and family and community and really being like a community source, a resource. Um, so wow, I'm just going on a tangent. I don't even remember what the question was anymore.
That's the passion. We got we felt it, we heard it.
Yeah. But I just want to tell all of you that how are you supposed to know what field you're supposed to be in when you're in your 20s? Like I'm 32. I barely found, not barely, like I've been in my role for 2 years now, but I just found the thing that I love in my role. And I'm a millennial. I'm gonna stick in this role for like a couple of years, because millennials, we like to jump around and explore different opportunities. Um, but how are you in your 20s supposed to know like what you're supposed to do for the rest of your life? That's not possible, you know. You will develop your journey and you will grow and you will tap into different things as you go along your way. My greatest advice to all of you is to keep opportunities open, explore different opportunities, talk to different people, and just see what becomes available to you, because once you start exploring, that's kind of like when your journey begins to narrow until like you find where you're supposed to be at. Again, I'm 32, I'm in this amazing role, but this is not, I'm sure this is not where I'm going to end up retiring, right? Like I still have my own journey to go through. So yes, sorry, that was a very long
No apologies needed, Marcos. I think that
Yeah.
was exactly what your passion is, and hearing it and really coming to life is important. So thanks, Marcos. Stephanie.
Yeah, so looking into the future, I think about my roles now. I encompass different roles and spaces, again, not only in higher education, but also in healthcare as a commissioner for the city of Los Angeles in the Health Commission. And so through my work, continuously I have been able to support the access to immigration services, by helping hundreds of individuals apply for citizenship, amongst other immigration reliefs, access healthcare services, teach hundreds of students, right, about the transnational Central American experience, do academic research, and also for the past 2 years, I've supported medical and legal humanitarian trips across the border to help thousands of migrants. And so when I think about all the work that I do, at the core of my work and looking into the future is to continue to advocate for human rights, to continue to support access within these fields that I work in, to continue to support the delivery of services through culturally sensitive models. As our community, the Latinx community, is disproportionately affected by COVID-19, not only in the positivity rate, but in many other factors. And of course, a commitment to the Salvadoran and the Central American community and students in higher education.
Thank you, Stephanie, for sharing. As we are nearing this panel, or the end of this panel, I'm gonna ask the last question, and if all of you can just share, what is one positive, or what is one piece of advice that you would want to share with members of this group on how you live your identity as part of the community to grow? So how can one live their identity as a positive to grow? That wasn't even any other questions, but I was thinking about that.
If we're not going in order, I'll jump in first. I think, well, first of all, 2 pieces of advice, because this conversation has been great, but seriously reach out to the mentors and the staff that surround you, because they have so much expertise. They've been doing this for so long, and they're just so willing to sit down and talk. I mean, I'm looking at Dr. Watkins here, and I hate to put you on the spot, but the conversations that me and Dr. Watkins had, even when I was a student, were so inspiring. And you walk out of their office feeling like, wow, I can take on the world now, because that's the type of support that I have behind me. So really, really, really reach out to your administrators, because it's an amazing feeling to have their back, to have them have your back. And so I think in terms of your identity, you really just have to, I always say that college is the place to find yourself. It's the place to try and make mistakes and get back up and try again. And I think that that's so important. And it's harder to do on a virtual world, because you're able to kind of hide behind the screen, but be the first to get out there, because I assure you that you're gonna find people that are just like you, that have similar interests, similar backgrounds, and once you find that, you're gonna find not only a community, but you're gonna really, really, really push your identity all the way to the top and maximize everything that you can be. So I encourage you all, get involved at CSUN, because it will change your life. It changed mine. I look back at it and I'm already, like we each have our own interests. I look at my 14-year-old sister who is an art person and a sports person, and I'm none of those things. And I look at her extracurriculars and I'm like, oh, student government, you're gonna do student government. She's like, no, I just want to paint and I just want to listen to music. And she's starting high school and that's her identity, and that will be her reality, and she'll make it happen. So push each other, encourage each other, and be accepting and be kind, because times are hard right now.
Well said, Diana. Well said. I saw a hand. Was it Stephanie?
Yeah, so what I would say is don't forget about your community. Remember where you came from. As a person of color, as a Latinx individual, you have a great task ahead of you. It's not only to represent your community, to be most likely you'll be the only one at the table, but open that door and you make sure that you let others in. That would be my advice.
Let others in. Great, Stephanie. Others want to share?
I'll say something real quick. Yes, no, I love what everybody has said. I just wanted to say networking, right? I mean, if we're discussing our community and how that helps us identify, or we identify with certain communities, I think all of that has to do with networking as well, right? So, I mean, you find your niche, you find your group of people, and you make your way, right? And yeah, and don't forget to mentor as well. I think that's absolutely important. So, thank you.
Thanks, Ron. Mentorship is crucial. Dr. Ellis Bischoff.
I echo what has been shared, and I would add to that, that this theme of community that's been the theme, throughout our time here tonight is just so critically important. And whether that's through mentorships, getting to know your faculty, going to administrators who are telling you to come over to student affairs during a Zoom, whatever it is, build your community. You need, and I liked, the word network. We hear that and we do that, and it's important. The word community building for me is even more important. We need the people around us who can laugh with us, who can cry, who can salsa dance on a Friday night, whatever it is that gets us through. And a lot of times those are conversations that help us recognize our strength, right? Going back to that theme as well. So that's what I would share.
Great community. Anyone else wants to share?
I'll just echo what everyone else has said. The idea of building community and connections is so important. It's not just for success in the classroom and for networking in terms of future jobs, but as part of my research, I do study how interpersonal connections impact health, and having those connections with other people, having supportive relationships is so important, not just for your mental health, but for your physical health and well-being as well, especially right now when we're all so separated. Having people you can rely on and reach out to is really, really important. And in terms of students connecting with faculty, I can't tell you how many students have reached out to me asking for a letter of recommendation, but I've only had them in one class, and they've never come to office hours, or they've never tried to be involved beyond just sort of the basics of the course. And it's fine, that's not what they're required to do, but I always tell them, if you can get involved more, I can write a better letter of recommendation for you. And I think others had mentioned that earlier, but I just want to reiterate how important it is to, ask your instructors if you can work with them on something, or if there's anything else that you can do to be more involved. So it's going to be really beneficial in the future. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Gallegos, for that. Yes, networking is so important. Not only now, I think it's really harder to network virtually, but we have to make that effort. As together as a community, we have to make that effort. So thank you, Monica. And our last panelist, Marcos.
Sorry, I was writing in the chat. So I would say the biggest advice that I could give to our students that are on this Zoom meeting right now is to log into Matasync. That is Matasync. Get engaged with our student clubs and organizations. If you have more questions about that, here is my email. I'm going to drop it in the chat. Marcos Pineda, CSUN.edu. Yeah, connect with us, engage with us. That is the biggest thing that I could recommend to any college student. Building community is probably going to be one of the most crucial things. um Academics first, but one of the most crucial things that you need to have established in creating networking, in making sure that you have those relationships with your faculty members so that they can write great and outstanding letters of recommendation, so that we as staff people can connect you with other staff people with resources, to help you really find your path and find the things that you're really passionate about. So you can start by logging into your Matasync account. Every CSUN student has a Matasync account. And if you're interested in joining a fraternity or sorority, specifically our culturally based ones, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help in any way that I can. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcos, and thank you to all of our panelists for sharing your time with us. One of the things that we heard throughout all of your voices were that we got to build community, that we have to in order for us to be successful. It comes from family, it comes from our culture, it comes from our community. Together, we are that much stronger. So thank you to all of our panelists for sharing those thoughts. And as you can see in the chat, all of you are adding your emails on there. So please reach out. So with this, I want to move us forward. We have a special guest that joined us, and we're gonna give her some time with us. So we want to welcome our president. So President Dr. Beck is here with us, and so I don't know if all of you know, but she just started about a month ago. Tomorrow will commence her first month. She joined us from California State University, Channel Islands, and prior to that, she worked as a provost and the executive vice president at Nevada State College. We are so glad that you're joining us, President Beck, and so thank you and welcome.
Well, thank you, Dr. Sanchez. So let me just say what a delight it has been that I was able to hear some of the rich dialogue that was just happening, full of thoughtful reflections and valuable insights. Your panelists did a beautiful job, and it was really great to just sort of be a fly on the wall and to hear the kind of engagement and advice and support. So I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to join you for the conclusion of today's welcome. And I can see that it was a very full and productive program. And so, as Dr. Sanchez mentioned, I am CSUN's new president. Will be 4 weeks on Friday, so just at the very beginning. And I really am enjoying learning more about the traditions and activities of our campus, including these events and these welcomes that are just so thoughtful and so engaging, and what a wonderful tradition. And I think it's so important because in addition to ensuring our students have outstanding academic experience, right? It's a little bit of the dialogue that was just happening a couple of moments ago. It is really important also that in addition to preparing our students for graduation and postgraduate success, that we also really pay attention to the other vital part of our mission, which is building a sense of community and connecting students with each other and offering enriching and memorable college experiences, and building a sense of belonging. So I think these cultural welcomes are especially noteworthy in that regard because they also recognize and celebrate the richness of diversity that our students bring to our academic community. So I'm delighted to be a small part of that today. I'd also really like to express my appreciation to all of you for the very warm welcome that I've received here on campus. Several of you, I recognize, I've seen you in other sessions or you've sent me emails, but it's been so wonderful. The first several weeks have been really productive, and I have been engaged in my 100-day listening tour. And I've had the opportunity to meet with so many students, faculty, and staff, as well as alumni, business, and community leaders. And I'm really looking forward to having the opportunity to connect with many, many more of you in the weeks and months ahead. And I'm just so honored to be a part of this vibrant academic community and working together with all of you to build on our collective efforts and continue to advance a university that is rooted in equity and continues to facilitate inquiry, discovery, and human potential. And I would also just like to extend my appreciation, right? Events like this don't just happen on their own. So sincere appreciation to the University Student Union staff, including, and I see she's here, Executive Director Deborah Hammond, and of course, Associate Director for Programs and Inclusion, Dr. Freddie Sanchez, for working so hard to pull these things together with our students and your colleagues, and building an organization that has these events built into it. And I'd also like to thank and recognize Vice President of Student Affairs, Dr. William Watkins, and one of the panelists noted that when she leaves Dr. Watkins' office, you feel inspired. I do too, even though it's only virtual spaces. I have the same experience when I have the ability to connect with him. So thank you to him. And then thanks to all of the facilitators and the panelists that contributed to this conversation. It really was very, very insightful, and I can see very valuable. Finally, I hope that you will mark your calendars and join me on February 15th for a conversation with the president. More information about that will be going out shortly, but I would invite all of you to come and to participate in a discussion on February 15th. So thanks for inviting me to be a very small part of this, and to just have the opportunity to connect, to say hello, and also to wish you a very successful spring semester.
Thank you, Dr. Beck, for joining us today. We look forward to working with you as we define how to continue best supporting our Latinx, Latina, and Latino students, faculty, and staff. We have a long history of excellence on this campus, and we know we will continue to exemplify academic excellence and vitality within the community. Thank you again for joining us. And we now have Alex Aquino, who will be performing a poem for us. Alex Aquino is a proud non-binary artist and student assistant at the CSUN Pride Center. They have been in student government, dedicating their time to empowering the LGBTQI+ community and fighting for representation of the LGBTQI+ community and students of color. Recently, they have been working on many virtual events with the Pride Center team, like Lavender Takeover, Out on Stage, BiPAN Poly Power Week, and Trans Empower Week. Please help me in welcoming Alex.
Hola, hola, como por ejemplo, ahora solamente voy a hablar español, porque estos son mi gente y creo que esto viene de corazón. Este poema proviene de amor y el espíritu. Cuando escribí, le pedí a mis ancestros, Dios, el universo y los ángeles que me guíen con sabiduría y amor. So este poema va a ser para todos ustedes, para mi gente. Poema de amor del universo. Cuando escribí este poema, lo escribí para que ustedes se sientan empoderados con ustedes mismos. Ponte a prueba para hacer cosas nuevas, descubrir algo nuevo sobre ti todos los días. Solo tienes que estar abierto para recibir las bendiciones del universo. No te desprendes del mundo y deja que tu luz brille y deja que todos vean lo especial que tú eres. El universo ya está marcado de tu propósito en el libro de la vida. Tu propósito es cambiar el mundo como un guerrero. Mi mamá siempre me dice que soy una guerrera y los guerreros nunca se dan por vencido, nunca. Esto me recuerda que tengo que seguir luchando por lo que debo de hacer en el futuro. Cambiar el mundo por un lugar mejor para nuestros hijos y para la gente que ocupa más empoderamiento para ellos. El universo te abre todas las puertas y solo tienes que elegir lo que es mejor para ti. Las maravillas de la vida y la intuición que acompañan un regalo maravilloso que no cambiarás por cualquier cosa en el mundo. Gracias.
Alex, thank you so much for those words. It really, the purpose piece El propósito, what you said, the whole notion about being a warrior, and really living the life that has been destined for you is really important. So Alex, thank you so much. Very heartfelt message. I'm hoping that all of you felt connected, if you were able to understand the piece. So thank you, Alex. So with that, we're coming to an end of the program. I can't believe it's 5:58 and we're wrapping up the program. And I want to first off thank the people that helped plan it, Jessica, Sam, Dr. Martha Escobar, and everyone who attended today's, the multitude of meetings that we had, coordinated by Ayan and her team. So thank you, Ayan, for that, and Xiomara for leading the charge and putting this together. If I'm missing anyone who attended, I know I saw a lot of the faces, and so thank you so much for doing that. It's been a great opportunity to have this community gathering. I don't know about you, but I really felt connected. I think as we were having conversations, I felt proud. I wish we could have done this on campus, but you know what? We still connected, and it was extremely powerful. I can't imagine what this is going to look like when we are on campus and have performances and try to dance bachata physically on the campus whenever that happens. So thank you all. As we conclude, we remind you to make sure that you reach out. There were a lot of emails on the chat, so make sure that you do that. Get each other's information. If you want to drop it now, please do so. We will be doing, I think a lot of our conversation today was about vision and purpose, and things always being fluid. We are going to be doing, we're going to be sending you something that we want to share with all of you, and Xiomara is going to put the link on the chat so that you can sign up and get your package, because we weren't really sure that it was going to turn out to be the way it is, but we are glad it did. Our conversation about our vision and what 2021 is going to look like for us, hopefully what we're going to send you is going to help you craft it. We're going to send you a craft box to put your vision board together for the year, and so hoping that that is something that you take advantage of. And as one last thing that we want to just echo what Dr. Beck said, for our students, there is a program on the 15th of February. It starts at 3 o'clock. We will be sending out information about the event. We want you to be present, join Dr. Beck in her 100-day tour, and she really wants to hear from you. And so we want you to stay connected. On behalf of the USU, make sure that you follow our Instagram account. There's a lot of programs that are there. And for all of our panelists, presenters, Salsa Libre Guadalupe, thank you for still being here. Have a great evening, and don't forget to stay connected. Have a good one, y'all.